Adventure time!
What's up people, my name is Skaven and welcome to the OCD Gaming TV. Right, today I'm not going to be doing games or any adventures or anything, as you'd see with my video layout. I'm going to be doing my first sketching tutorial. So first off, I would like to say, just take note, I am not a professional artist. I do it for hobbies, for my hobby's sake. I used to study art up until I was 18. No, I'm lying. It was up until I was 19. Then I left to go do my work. Work being a soldier. So I drew on and off for about 20 years, mostly off because work does get pretty hectic. Enough said about that. So I recently started again with my art because I got promoted. I had to move. The post that I went to was more not relaxed, it's more settled. I do not deploy that much. Well, it's not a deployment unit, so and because I didn't know anyone here and all those things, I said, okay, well, I'm gonna restart my hobbies. So I wanted to start off with digital art. I bought myself a Cintiq, got everything, got my programs and all those things nice and running. But digital art is tough. It's really tough. So with the 20 years that went by, I lost a lot of knowledge and I lost a lot of skills. So I started now just to refresh myself and get back into things. I started signing up for art lessons and stuff like that. So before that, I actually wanted to first check YouTube, because these days you find anything on YouTube, and I couldn't. Most of the classes and tutorials on there is for more intermediate artists, and I found it quite difficult to learn anything from that. So I decided, okay, well, as I study, I will make videos on what I've learned, and it's from a beginner's level. So, and I try to simplify my art style. What art do I like? Well, I like all types of art. Abstract, manga, cartoons, realistic. They all find a place near to me. However, I'm more drawn to, what do you call it? Superheroes comics, DC and all those type of characters. Actually, I'm in the process of making my own comic book. It's about Def, how he started, who he is, what he's doing and all those things. But yeah, I'll still make more videos on how I design him. I've got a broad idea of what I want in him, but I haven't started the character yet. I did start the prologue to him, or to the comic. So yeah, hopefully in future something will come from that. So yes, let's start with the first lesson. So today, the first thing I think that's really important is the structure. How to get the structure, because I struggled with proportions, and I saw a lot of people struggle with proportions, knowing what should be where, what's the length, what's the size, and all those things. So this first lesson is going to be on the structure of a person. We're going to do the front, the back, the side view, and then I'm not there yet, but I will try and show you how to get that whole concept into a 3D perspective. So let's start. Right, so for this exercise, I'll be drawing in Manga Studio. Not because I'm sponsored or anything by them, it's just for drawing purposes. I find that Manga Studio works simple. It's a simplified version of both Photoshop and Corel. So what you also saw here, I basically drew 3 lines, horizontal or vertical lines, when we're going to be using them as our axis. So it's just our axis. Okay. If we are lucky, we will be doing a 4th one, which will be our 3D view. So here we're going to have our front view. We're going to have a back view. And then we're going to have a side view. Okay. Right. So the first thing you want to do with a structure, and you have to keep this in mind, they call it memory lessons. Or it's to train your memory muscle, your brain, to accept mathematical measurements and stuff like that. The human body is always centered in proportion. So the first thing we would do, starting on the front view, we want to get the center of our axis. So it doesn't have to be precise, it's just a visual indication. So just go out and mark your center. Then what you're going to do is the bottom part. I always start from the bottom moving upwards. Again, you're going to get a center point. Just make a small dot there. Well, this is going to be your knee line. I will rub this out later. So your knees will always be above this line. Okay. Then we're going to do another line. We're going to move up to the top part. Again, we're going to divide this line in half. Okay. This is going to be the, let me get my reference guide. I always forget these parts in English, but it's going to be basically the chest bone, the rib bone, rib cage bone. But let me just give you the right wording so you don't say I'm not being professional. So it's the pec bone. Okay. Then what you're going to do then, you're going to take the top off, divide it in half again, and then the bottom part divide it in half again. Okay. So this will be your half, let me just center it a bit, for your face. And this is going to be your navel part. I'm lying, this is going to be your pec bone, sorry, I do apologize. This is going to be your navel. And then this will be your part for your hips and so on. Okay, but I know it doesn't make sense now, but we're going to get to it. Right, so let's draw in the head. The head is just a normal egg or oval shaped form. Don't worry if it's not perfect, it's just practice. It's just to get the proportion, so we're not overly concerned about correct shapes and stuff like that now. But basically you just get an oval shape going in there. Right, then what you're going to do, you're going to come again half of this one and you're going to put a small V. Okay, that's going to be the start of your chest. So what you then want to do is just some people would say halfway, some people would say a third. It all depends on you, on what type of character you want to shape. I usually just go just a little bit, just like a third above it. This is going to be the start of our chest, the rounding of our chest. Now the first problem comes, how big should this be? Well, the rule of thumb says it should be the same length as your head. But again, when you're drawing art, comics and stuff, depends on what statue you want this guy to portray? Should he be broad-shouldered and strong? Should he be skinny and nerdy? So basically it just depends on you. But for our sake, we're going to go with the rule of thumb. So what you want to do is, from the chest bone, we want to get a horizontal line going. We get the length of the head in here. Let's say it's about here. Then just above it, you want to put 2 marks. That's going to be the nipples. So the chest is coming, it's too far, just nearly touching those nipples. It will be passing by, going straight to the navel. Straight to the navel. Don't worry about if you're going out of your proportions now. It's not the end of the world. Nobody will die. You're gonna, anyway, when you start drawing in your character, you're gonna roughen these out. So what you want to do then is get a line down from the nipples. Basically, depending on what type of hip you want your guy to have. But basically where these two touch, you would stop. That's the indication that you're nicely halfway between your navel. Then you just draw, I like to go a little bit beyond this, closest to the navel. You want to go up. So there is basically the person's chest bone now, the rib cage. Okay. So then you, from the navel down to the crotch area, you divide this again into 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. So on this line, the first line, this will be the start of your hips, your love handles. So it will basically be this downward part. Just halfway up again, you just draw this in and you go in to the crotch area. Let's just clean this up a bit. It's very simple. Because later when we start doing proportions and stuff like that, you'll see we'll draw in a little circle like this. It's just to render it basically 3-dimensional. It's to simulate the bottom part of your body, the hips. Okay, and then when you're at your third part, or your third part, you're just going to do that in half again and put 2 circles. Remember, not further than this part. Okay, so always keep it inside. This is going to be the start of your leg. So for the legs, for now, we're just basically going to draw it in like this. Remember, we said the knees is just above here. We're just going to go and then draw the feet. It's just basic. Okay. Right, now the big part is where to place the arms. Remember, you can't put the arms here. The arms has to be outside the chest. Otherwise, this person will be very awkward at doing certain things. Okay. So how do we get that proportion correct? So just cleaning up a bit here. So what you would want to do is, from the navel to the nipple, we draw a line. Same to the other side. You get your lines. You cross over these lines out of the chest. Keep in mind where the chest ends, and then from your chest bone you just go out, depending on what type of shoulders you want this person to have. Should he be strong? Should he be nerdy? Should he be whatever? It depends on you, on what type of shoulders you want this guy to have. I just, for now, just going to keep him basic. So it's just going to be there. Then again, you draw your axis in for the start of your arms. And the rule of thumb says the arms goes to your crotch area. Then from the crotch area, in line with the crotch area, you'll do the hands. For now, they will just be simple like this. And then in line with your navel, you get the elbows. So basically there you have your front view. of how to get your proportions of your character right. It's pretty simple. Okay. Right, now we're going to go to the back. The back is exactly the same as the front. Again, what we do is we get our center line going. We divide for the knees. We divide for the chest bone. Then we get the navel going, and we get the proportions for the head going. Half, everything is always half, half, half. Right. So basically now, the only difference that's going to come in now is with the head, we're going to divide it again in half, and then again in half, the bottom part. So you get the half of the head size, half of the head. And then again the bottom part, you again do half. Okay. Why? Right. So now we're going to start drawing the circle. Not an oval shape or egg shape. We're going to do a circle for the head. Up until the second half of the head. A nice circle. Then we're just going to go out, get and connect it like such, or as such. So this is the back of the skull, and then this will be the jawbone. So it's just to give you that small representation. Okay. Right. Then instead of making a V now for the center of this point, we're just going to make a line, a nice line, and then again a line for where the chest will start, and then a line for where the chest would end. So again, and then we just get the measurements of the head in for the broadness of the chest, and we start drawing in a circle. And that's the back. Now if you would have looked at this from the front, you would have basically just seen this extra, the ribcage area. But because you're viewing it from the back, you don't see that. Okay, and then again, as I said, you would divide this into 3. We get the center axis of where the love bow or love handles would start or end. We go up, go up. Draw in the crotch area. Basic, we get again the nice axis for the legs. Draw in the legs as I indicated in the first one. We do the same to get the arm proportions. You'll see the more you practice this, the better you'll get at this. Okay, just take note, the axis for your leg should always be above the crotch line, a little bit above it, like a half of the third part of your separation here. Okay, so basically there's your back. The only differences was the head. There's the first difference. The second difference was the chest, and that was basically it. Otherwise it's exactly like the front. Right, now we're going to come to the difficult one. Well, it's not really difficult, it just takes a little bit of interpretation. Right, so now we're going to concentrate on the side view. Right, the side view, again, as I said, we're going to get the center of our structure line, of our axis. Again, we're going to divide, get half, half, and half. That's not really half. Okay, doesn't matter. Alright, don't worry now if the proportions are out now. So what we did at the back side of the head. We're going to do the same with this side now. We're going to divide the head in half, then in half again. So, and then we're going to start drawing in our circle. So basically the side is just combining the two of them. Okay. Right, remember where we said half here and then slightly there. That will be our chest line. Okay. So then starting from here, just a little bit above it, above the baseline of the skull, we're going to start drawing outwards at an angle. Remember, our character is facing this way. Sorry. Then just draw a line for the bottom of the head. We're just going to, in line with this, with the front part, we're just going to basically come down to that line and then connect the head. Then also remember the same, just the skull is on the baseline, but just above it a bit is where the base of the skull will come from. Okay, and there we have our skull. Right, then the neck area. The neck area is going to come out of this nape of the skull outwards, and it's going to go down. Now, how far does it have to go down? So you draw a line from your V section of your chest, and then this facial baseline that we made here, you're just going to divide it in half and then draw a line down. And then from where these two connect, we're just going to go like this through our chest line, the upper chest line, this line that we have here. Okay. So we're just going to draw a nice line like that up until where the two of them touch. Now the general rule for the front and the back of the human body is always just you take half of these two of the head and you just put it like that, get a cross line there. Again, the radius, the half of the radius there, we get it in there. So that's going to be the width. Okay, so you can just basically just get a imaginary line going down there. Okay, so then from where these two, the neck and the chest line connects, we're going to go outwards at an angle up until where they touch your imaginary back line. Then from there we're going to start moving in just halfway over the, let me just correct this. Remember we said the chest would end here, so we're just going to go through there, and then we're going to, just as we pass, just a little bit, it depends on you. Like I said, it always depends on the size and the quantities you want. And then we're going to go up. Okay, so remember our imaginary line. I actually want this chest to be more angled. Okay, and then where it touches, we're just going to draw a straight line back to the nape of the chest. And there we have our chest line. Simple. So now for the hips. Again, we're going to divide our hips into 3, or from the navel. We're just going to get, remember this is the navel. We're just going to divide it again into 3 equal sizes. Then remember, now we're going to draw a line out from the navel. We're going to draw a line out from where we start. Remember the love handles we said starts at the first half. Okay, so basically now from our juncture point, our imaginary line here, we're just going to draw a line straight through up until our imaginary line here. But remember, this can be at different angles. I actually drew it too steep there, so let's get it to, let's say, there. Then we're just going to connect it downwards to the crotch area. So basically that's the radius that we have here. That would be there. Okay, the cross cut. You don't always have to remember, the back always arcs in where the chest part always bulges outwards. Okay. Right, now we get to the legs. So we know the legs is going to be somewhere in the center here. But now the axis for the legs will not be at the back, otherwise our guy will not be balanced. So we're going to just draw the axis of the legs nicely in front there. Okay. Then when we move out, we're not going to move out far, we're just going to move far, and then where the knees would start, we're going to go back and then down again. This is just to get the guy balanced. And then we're going to draw the foot there. Now with the arms again, remember that what we said, the arms will always be up here in the shoulder part. So the legs would be in, the axis would be in front or in the on the left side of the axle line, and then the arms would be on the right side. Okay. And then we just draw, let's draw the arms to the back. So we get the elbow, and that's going to be our arm. So basically there we have it. He actually went a bit too broad here, but doesn't matter. Okay. Proportions depends, like I said, depends on you. If you want a broad guy with a big chest board, like let's say the Hulk, remember you can, it all depends on basically on you, how broad you want this guy to be. As of to a nerdy guy. Okay, so it depends on what you want. If I want a narrow chest or broad chest or whatever. Okay, so this doesn't really, especially when you draw comics, you always go over proportion. So don't worry if this is too big or too small. You'll always make it work when you start adding muscle and stuff like that. Okay, let's rub this out. Just want to get rid of that. So basically there's a short tutorial on how to get your proportions and your structures and stuff correct. Okay, it's very simple. I used to struggle with this, and you basically use this formula that I gave you. Remember, it's always half, 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 half. You will always use this to get your angles and your proportions and your alignments and all those things in place. And it's always easier to draw from a perspective like this. Right, so let's try and see how this would work in a 3D ankle. So for this, we're going to use the side view. Okay, so basically we again start, we start to get our axis, our main nodal point. Let's just clean this up. So we have the end and we have the start. So what we're going to do again, we're going to find the center roughly. Then we're going to do the half of the legs. We're going to do the chest bone, the navel, and the head. And then the head again. Okay. So now, a lot of people, what they do is from the center line, they draw a line. I found this helps sometimes it doesn't help. It all depends on the person. And what you basically just do is you draw lines like that. It's to get your 3D axis going. Okay. 3D axis going. Okay, I just did it now very narrowly because I'm like on the edge of my sketch. Okay. So what you want to do now from the, let me just clean it up a bit more. It looks really terrible now. So what we want to do now to get a 3D angle going is, so we know, let's say this is our baseline, it's going down, and then bottom here, it's going to be our our second baseline. Okay. Just imagine that there off map here somewhere there will be like a center line which we are concentrating on now. Okay, so the back, we're going to draw a new axis line. Remember, it doesn't, the width of this depends on your 3D perspective. So for reference sake now, we're not going to make it that big, so let's just get it down. We're just going to make it narrow and clean it up a bit. Then the front part, it's going to be much broad, or it's going to be broader, because remember we are viewing it. We're viewing in this direction from the back. Okay, so let's just try and get it proportionate. Going all the way down. Right. Then we're just gonna get in our quarters again, like remember, like what we said. It's gonna be like that. It will be like this, and then this one is gonna be something like this. Okay. Now let's bring it in more equal, like that. Okay. So now we basically just remember now, because we are facing that way and we're viewing it from this way, there will be a clean area. Let's make the clean area about here. Okay, so basically now we start drawing in our skull. And you won't be able to get a circle now in here, because remember we're viewing this at an angle, so it will be oval shape. Okay, we go out like this. Right, we get the half point here, we get the center point, we move out, we get the half line here, we move out. Just gonna be coming in like this. Don't worry if you go over the lines now, it's not a big concern now. This is just to basically give you an idea. So now when we have the chest part now, remember we are viewing this from a 3D perspective. So up here it will be like a hollow effect. Okay, and we're gonna go do the hips. We get our proportions in again. So let's just get it right. So it will basically be something like that. It's coming in broader. Then, because now remember the axis lines for the arms, it's going to be the same as the legs. So this part's going to shift a bit to the back, because now you're viewing it at the 3D angle, so it will most like that. legs, going back. And basically, now you have your 3D perspective to some extent. This is just a relative quick show you how to get there. It's not perfect. It will take a lot of practice to get this right. I'm still struggling with it sometimes. But out of this, you will see a basic concept prevailing here. You'll see a ecliptic style going here. Now, a lot of people make use of this for quick rendering. I'll try and see if I can't do the quick drawing here. That's if you want to get your drawings going quickly. But like I said, it depends on person to person. Some people struggle with it. You can even now use this leg. Let's say this leg wants to go out like that. So it's just a quick way to get that that C or half C or whatever you want to call it. It's just a quick angle to get your shape going. The sword or stick or something there. So it's basically just a quick way to get your 3D perspective from the side view over to that one. Okay, so I hope this helped. I know it helped me a lot when I started my classes, and this was one of my. I'm still actually struggling with the 3D concept. As you see, I drew it. If you go in for the full thing, you will see later on they divide and get the things, the angles and stuff right. But we'll get to that in other classes. Just now to keep in mind is just to keep this. If we squared this off, it's just to get this dead ground. Let me just color it in so you can see it. You'll see that there's like dead ground here. Geez, actually. This dead ground should just be present in your 3D drawing. As you see, it's over here. This is the dead ground now. It's still basically in my drawing, just at an angle now. Okay. So I really hope this video helped a lot. I hope it will get your art going. As I improve my skills, I will also improve the contents of my lessons. So we will both learn through this, and we'll both get everything where it should be. And hopefully one day I will be putting out, hopefully within the next few months, I will be putting out high quality art. Yeah, we can all just hope. Right, but I thank you for viewing this, and I do hope it helped you. I do hope it helps you also in your future drawings, and you can use it as a reference or whatever part you want from this to gain from it. It helps me a lot to know that you contribute to something and that it helps you in the end. So if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you want future content or future lessons, please watch out or just leave me a link on this or a comment on this watched video, and I will see what I can do for you guys. Right, thank you. I hope you enjoy your day, and see you next time. Goodbye.